What's up, Upstanders? Dr. O here. And so I was watching Deadline White House the other day, and there's Sarah Longwell on, who is a woman who does a lot of polling, well, more so like focus groups, and is always talking to voters, and does work with the Bulwark, is part of the Bulwark, and comes from the conservative side of the political spectrum. And I always appreciate a lot of her takes because she has a lot of brilliant takes on things. One of the things she said the other day, which I disagree with, however, was she talked about how Trump reserves his most anger and most ire towards other Republicans who are part of the administration or Republicans who go against him in some way, shape, or form. That's when he gets the most angry and directs most of his vitriol. And she was talking about it, particularly as it relates to the executive orders that were being put out regarding Chris Krebs and Miles Taylor, who were both part of his administration. And while it is true that he directs a lot of ire, towards people who are Republican or former Republicans or Republicans who are in his administration who critiqued him, or other people like Liz Cheney and the like, with most of those guys, his conversations and talk about them are pretty much verbal. It's pretty much verbal. Or when you look at somebody like him revoking security clearances of other people from his administration, of course, those things are, Bolton and the like, of course, those things are wrong as well. But the reason why this is stuck in my head is because that statement just makes me think about the entire immigrant population that we're forgetting in this country, and in terms of what's happening to the people who have been shipped off to this prison in El Salvador, Mr. Garcia, the Maryland man as well, the student visas that are being revoked. And those are the people that the Trump administration has devoted the worst of its ire towards. And we cannot forget that. Tim Miller, who's also with the Bulwark, talks about this often. He's one of the few guys out there who's saying that these guys are being put in concentration camps, and he's the one of the main guys out there in many of these networks who are using terms like Gestapo and equating things with Nazi Germany, as we rightly should be doing right now. What is happening with these with people who are here who are not U.S. citizens is barbaric. But here's the other point we need to be mindful of. I've had so many conversations with people, and I've said it myself, that yeah, he's doing this now. He's starting small with them because he eventually wants, eventually he's going to come for U.S. citizens. And so people should speak up now. And people are saying it like it's something that can happen like way down the line. But you saw Trump on earlier this week or late last week being interviewed on a plane or something like that. And he said he has no problem with the idea of also sending United States citizens to the Venezuelan prison. And why is this important? Because when you look at the case of Mr. Garcia, the father of an autistic child from Maryland who was not supposed to be sent to El Salvador. Sorry, I think I may have mixed countries up. Who was not supposed to be sent to El Salvador and into that prison. He had temporary protective status, right? And one of the questions that have been asked by one judge in many of these cases is, can Trump just round me up as well and just send me? Because what the Trump administration is saying is that, yeah, we messed up. It wasn't a mistake. This is their policy, but we can't bring him back. Which of course they could. Taxpayer dollars are paying for him to be there. Taxpayer dollars sent Kristi Noem there. But the point that we need to be mindful of is that the way that Trump is executing this, they're actually arguing in court that Trump now can take U.S. citizens and send them to send them to El Salvador without a hearing. One of the things that Sotomayor said in a ruling relating to Garcia said that the government remains bound by an immigration judge's 2019 order expressly prohibiting Abrego Garcia's removal to El Salvador because he faced a clear probability of future persecution there. They did it anyway, right? And then she said, instead of hastening to correct its egregious error, the government dismissed it as an oversight. But then she says this, check it out. The government's argument, moreover, implies that it could deport and incarcerate any person, including U.S. citizens, without legal consequence, so long as it does so before a court can intervene. That view refutes itself. So what she is saying here is that Trump's lawyers are already arguing in court that what they did to Mr. Garcia, mistake or not, they can already do to United States citizens. That's me, that's any one of us. And they also make the argument of, even if it's a mistake, Once they're out of our jurisdiction, we can't do anything about it. So if you're not speaking up for Mr. Garcia now, or these other 300 people that's been shipped off to this prison, who, according to 60 Minutes, like 75% of them have no criminal record, do not think it's not a matter of time before they come for you as well. Do not think that they will not come for you as well. They're already actively trying to do it. And we think it's going to be this day somewhere down the line. Trump is already fighting for that. So when I see what's happening with people like Miles Taylor and Chris Krebs, it's completely unfortunate and it's wrong. And you know, Trump ordering the Justice Department to investigate him, that's what Nixon didn't want to do publicly because he knew what would happen to him. Trump doesn't care. And of course, this is wrong. And I'm concerned about the representation they're going to get from lawyers, because so many of them are these lawyers are running to kiss Trump's butt. But he is actively working to make this country a complete dictatorship. And this idea of he is ignoring the court, or we're not in a constitutional crisis yet because he's already ignored the courts. They deported somebody who was not supposed to be deported, who had a court order to be here, in Mr. Garcia. So the courts are already being defied. People keep waiting for, when he goes against this Supreme Court decision, like the courts, whatever, come on. John Roberts with the Supreme Court, he's working hard to get these 9-0 decisions, but even their rulings on Mr. Garcia, it wasn't hardcore. Effectuate the return. What the hell does that mean? This man is, 20 plus days in this prison, wondering whether he's ever going to see his family again. This Trump administration claims it's an error. People are supposed to fix errors. And saying they can't do anything about it, y'all not saying anyone not saying anything about it, it's a matter of time before they come for you. So don't think because you're a naturalized citizen, you ain't gonna get it. Don't think because you're a U.S. citizen, you ain't gonna get it. This is what his lawyers are arguing for now, before the Supreme Court. The things that we are doing to people who are immigrants in this country is barbaric and it's savage. All people are asking for is due process. All people are asking for is, can they get notification when their visas get revoked? People in this country who are getting social security numbers, having those revoked, are unable to work properly. The way that INS is now partnering, the IRS is now partnering with ICE now to target people, which has led to 3 head people to resign from the IRS, including other staff people. This is an unraveling dictatorship. This is an unraveling dictatorship. And in case you didn't hear me the first 2 times, this is an unraveling dictatorship. It is forming. It's not something coming down the line. When you look at Nazi Germany, I believe it was the governor of Illinois, Pritzker, who said something to the effect like it took less than 2 months for Nazi Germany to implement its reign. Like, Trump's following the Nazi playbook, and his ire is starting with the immigrants because of the idea that most Americans won't care about them. And many of these guys, the Mahmoud Khalils, the man from Georgetown, the sister from Tufts, and the like, I guarantee you, these will be people who will be standing up for your rights if Trump took you. But as they're picking people off slowly but surely, they're picking off dissent. They're picking off dissent. And let's also be mindful of the fact that you can't deport a U.S. citizen. Deport is not the word you can use, because where do you send them, right? So there's other words. We're talking about kidnap and just kick out, just completely kick out. You got lawyers, American lawyers being arrested, apprehended at airports. Their files on them for being involved with this or that. Like, anything could happen at any time. Which is why Eric Holder was saying, with Rachel Maddow the other day, you have to pick up now. You have to fight now. You have to start now. You have to protest now. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is now. Trump is actively fighting to put out legislation and have policies to kick anybody who disagrees with him out of the country. No freedom of speech, no due process, no nothing. That is real. That's not later. It is now. Don't just look at this case of Mr. Garcia and just say, "Oh, that's terrible," and move on. Don't just look at the case of these guys who have been put in this prison in El Salvador and just say, "That's really sad," and move on. Like, you can actually end up there too, or somewhere else. You can be disappeared in this country, And you see what's happening, and these guys coming up and rolling up on people with, no identification, no warrants or anything like that. Who's to say that somebody just randomly, a bunch of guys just couldn't get together, put on some ice, jackets, and go out and just kidnap somebody and just take them home and rape them, right? And the way that these guys present themselves without warrants, without any ID, without anything. I wouldn't be surprised if there are going to be some copycats who would do something similar if they're not doing it already. The time is to be an upstander now, not to continue to be a bystander. They are coming for everybody. And just like the Niemöller poem says, they came for the socialists, they came for the communists, they came for the Jews, they came from all these people. I said nothing. And then when the time they came for me, nobody had my back because nobody was there. You got to continue to stand up. You got to continue to speak up. And if you don't do that, don't say anything. Well, you won't even have the opportunity to say anything when they do indeed come for you. If you believe in due process, you should speak up. If you believe that people who are gay barbers who have tattoos of their mothers and fathers shouldn't be sent to one of the worst prisons in the world, you should be speaking up. If you believe that a Maryland father of an autistic child should be pulled out of his car, who's supposed to be here on temporary protective status and not supposed to be sent to the country that he was sent to because of the threats he faced because he didn't want to join Nicaragua, you should be upset about that. And you should be demanding that he be brought home. That the Trump administration that claims to be all powerful and say it doesn't have the power to bring this man home, it's a lie. They lie before the courts. They lie before the people. And a family is torn apart. Many families have been torn apart about this. Living in Maryland, obviously, I've thought more about that particular case. But this is happening daily. And again, these are just the cases that we know. And as I said on a television interview recently, every story, every name that we've heard about somebody who's come out, who's been sent to El Salvador, including the 8 women who were sent back because this prison doesn't take women, how they get there in the first place, none of them have criminal records. And I'm not saying none of them do, but I'm saying the stories that have come out. So what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing is that the majority of these people were kidnapped, kicked out, deported, and sent to that prison without trial. And I think that the Trump administration has a vested interest in making sure that none of those people speak. So they're either not going to be coming back or they're going to get killed there. And your tax dollars are paying for that. My tax dollars are paying for that. 2 of the women who got shipped back because they weren't allowed to be put into that prison, thank goodness, have been talking about what they experienced, how they were lied to, how they were on a plane with the windows down, couldn't even see. Then they landed at an airport, which they were told was Venezuela, and they knew it wasn't their own airport because that was where they were from, and how they were being forced to sign papers and say that they were part of a gang and all of this other type of stuff. Like they're telling their story. What are these other folks gonna say? Trump administration doesn't have an interest in that. Kristi Noem doesn't have an interest in that. We have an interest in that. And we got to speak up in the name of common humanity. What are you going to do today on that path? Peace.